weekends and holidays. Bus fare one way is $8. I'm Yana Kay for LA This Week.
The remains of a badly decomposed woman have LAPD officers searching for clues, and now they hope a canvassing of the neighborhood and a cash reward give them answers. Anna Marcos has more.
It's a case that has stumped LAPD detectives for 4 years. Workers at this LA recycling plant found something else besides recyclables as they sorted through discarded items, a woman's badly decomposed body. But 4 years later, police say they still don't know how long she'd been dead or what caused her death.
She was found nude, wrapped in trash bags and bed linen sheets.
Now, clutching at straws, police are offering a $50,000 reward for information that helps identify the victim and leads to finding those who caused her death. Police have also enlisted the help of 80 LAPD Explorer cadets to canvass the area around Echo Park and Silver Lake. The cadets are handing out flyers that show what the woman might have looked like alive. Police believe she was Hispanic or Caucasian, anywhere between 35 to 80 years old and about 5'4", with brown or auburn hair.
This is interesting. I've never seen any information delivered this way.
Someone's daughter. Someone knows who this woman is, and no one's come forward. No one's said, hey, she's missing.
Police believe the victim was dumped in one of the blue recycling bins, but it could have been anywhere in an area that covers Hollywood, East LA, Echo Park, and Silver Lake. And unless someone steps forward, the chances of solving the mystery will become slimmer and slimmer. I'm Anna Marcos for LA This Week.
Anyone with information can call the LAPD Central Area Homicide Detective Bureau at 213-996-1889 or 213-996-1890. Los Angeles joined cities across the nation as Americans came together to remember the 9/11 terrorist attacks. Yana Kay takes us to one LA Fire Department ceremony.
Retired New York firefighter Paul Geidel holds a picture of his son Gary, also a New York firefighter who was killed in 2001 when he responded to the World Trade Center attacks. Paul and his other son spent nearly 9 months digging through the rubble trying to find him.
We were able to bring 8 members of Rescue Company 1 home, and many other people, of course, but we never found Gary.
The sound of bagpipes kicked off the 9/11 Day of Remembrance, where Gary Geidel and thousands like him were remembered.
But every act of hatred, we win when we come together in love, and we come together in love for you and for all of those who remember the victims of 9/11 today.
The ceremony held at the LA Fire Department's Memorial Training Center included the playing of taps. It was just one of a dozen other tributes that took place in the Southland, paying respects to those who perished 13 years ago in the attacks on our nation.
This is the meaning of sacrifice. This is the meaning of selflessness. This is truly the meaning of service.
These are people that put the safety of strangers above their own.
LA firefighters even traveled to New York to help in the rescue operations. Some of them were on hand on this day.
The amount of debris was 14 stories tall of debris. It was still burning underneath. The sights, the sounds, the smell, people digging in on this rubble pile, trying to get through because they knew people were trapped in there.
The proud stars and stripes hung midair beneath 2 fire ladders, while 3 helicopters flew overhead in missing man formation. The ceremony took place right here in front of this monument. The piece of metal was part of the World Trade Center. Now it serves as a memorial to the 343 New York firefighters who were lost, but will never be forgotten. I'm Yana Kay for LA This Week.
This year marks the first time that the 9/11 Memorial Plaza in New York was open to the public on the anniversary date. Some neighborhood programs tackle safety, others combat pollution. Gil Reyes tells us about a program that handles both and more, a lot more.
Good morning. LA City Attorney Mike Feuer announcing big changes this fall at Vista Middle School in Panorama City. So far, some 30 parents have volunteered for daily neighborhood patrols. Their goal, to create safe passageways for their children to and from campus. And that's just the beginning.
We're not only bringing all these resources to bear, but we're also committing to test whether they work by analyzing statistics as the program goes forward.
Feuer's Neighborhood School Safety Program targets 4 LA schools in low-income communities. Panorama City Council member Nuri Martinez is concerned about prostitution and drug dealing in her district and hopes parent patrols will further open communication lines with the LAPD.
Oftentimes you will find people who are very afraid, who don't want to speak up. And I think through this program, empowering the parents on how to communicate better with law enforcement and the city attorney's office really will enable them to speak up and take their neighborhoods back.
The program also promises to crack down on polluters operating near campus. The LA City Attorney's Office says it's identified over 100 possible polluters near the Vista campus alone. 2 of them now facing criminal charges. The City Attorney's Office isn't stopping there. It also plans to crack down on area businesses caught selling tobacco to minors, boost checkups of parolees living near schools, and ramp up efforts to reduce truancy. In Panorama City, Gil Reyes for LA This Week.
Again, 3 other campuses are also taking part in the program. The Hahn family has made public service its legacy to Los Angeles, and now one more Hahn, former Mayor James Hahn, gets his name etched on a public building. Anna Marcos takes us to the unveiling.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now my great honor to introduce my big brother, Jim Hahn.
U.S. Congresswoman Janice Hahn's last move as city council member was to get City Hall East renamed in honor of her brother, James Hahn, in 2011. He had served L.A. as city controller, city attorney, and mayor. He is now a U.S. District Court judge, a lifetime of public service. L.A.'s biggest movers and shakers watched as the new building name was finally unveiled.
Quite literally, ladies and gentlemen, we would not be a city today were it not for Jim Hahn. We might have 2 or 3 cities.
Hahn helped keep the city together in spite of secession bids by Hollywood, San Pedro, and the Valley in 2002, at the risk of alienating some voters. He helped create new clean air and energy policies and revamp the LAPD as it crawled back from corruption scandals and a federal consent decree. He replaced then Police Chief Bernard Parks with New York Police Commissioner William Bratton.
Under the outstanding leadership of Bill Bratton and Jim Hahn, crime plummeted to levels unseen since 1950. Morale skyrocketed throughout LAPD, and people throughout our city once again felt safe and secure.
The Hahn family name is no stranger to city landmarks. Several parks and buildings were named in honor of Hahn's father, Kenneth Hahn, including the Kenneth Hahn Hall of Administration. Kenny Hahn served 10 terms as county supervisor.
2 great men dedicated their entire lives in service to the people of Los Angeles.
The decisions were not really tough decisions. Decisions were easy to make. All I had to decide was, what's the best thing to do for the city? What's the right thing?
Some say it was those very best things he did for the city that cost James Hahn his 2nd term as mayor. I'm Anna Marcos for LA This Week.
The renaming of City Hall East was paid for with private funds. Angelenos have been getting their feet wet with the kayaking program offered at the LA River. Rasha Goel has more on how paddling the scenic stretch has taken a new turn.
Ready, set, paddle. Kayakers of all levels recently had the chance to compete in the first ever boat race on the LA River, organized by the LA River Expedition. While Angelenos have had the chance to leisurely enjoy the river for the past 3 years, this was the first time a competition was allowed to be held on the waterway.
I've kayaked across the world, but just for fun. So I'm really excited that this is now an opportunity that people in Los Angeles can experience.
Entry to the competition was on a donation basis.
We suggest from all the way up to $65 to help support LA River Expeditions, which is a nonprofit, and our work has been to open up the river to the community.
The competition took place on a 3/4 mile stretch of rapids and flat water from Fletcher Drive down to Marsh Park in Elysian Valley. Races were held in various age and skill level categories. Officials say it's all part of revitalizing the river and bringing it back to the community. Actor and environmental activist Ed Begley Jr., a Los Angeles native, says the LA River needs to be preserved.
It's the LA River that brought people here, this beautiful ecosystem, and so we need to protect it and realize its value.
Councilmember Tom LaBonge came to cheer on the kayakers and share a bit of river history.
233 years ago, 44 people walked 9 miles from the Mission San Gabriel to the banks of the river. The life of the city started on that river. Now life on the city is coming back to the river.
Hopefully, people going by on their bikes, they'll be inspired to, get out, or people watching will get out off the couch and come outside.
And at the end of the day, it wasn't about winning the race for these river supporters. It was about making the LA River once again an integral part of our living, breathing city. I'm Rasha Goel for LA This Week.
The LA River Revitalization Plan includes transforming the neglected waterway into a 51-mile greenway with a bike path, parks, public art, and waterfront businesses. And you just heard Councilman Tom LaBonge talk a bit about the founding of our city. And that's because Los Angeles just celebrated another birthday. And at the recent celebration, the story of why diversity is woven into the fabric of our city becomes quite clear.
Another year, 233 to be exact, another birthday. Another walk from Mission San Gabriel to the El Pueblo Historical Monument in downtown LA. The annual walk follows the historic route the Los Pobladores used when they founded Los Angeles. For a select few, the walk is a real retracing of the 9-mile walk their ancestors made.
We are a group of descendants from of the original founders who arrived here to this area of El Pueblo, as it's known, in 1781.
I get real personal when it comes to back then. I feel the ancestors with me as I walk.
The Pobladores, or townspeople, were 44 original settlers and 4 soldiers who founded the city. Mayor Eric Garcetti paid homage to their heritage.
The 44 who continued on of the Pobladores who came here came from Africa, from Americas, from Europe. In other words, the diversity we have in this city today isn't something that arrived last year. It was here from the beginning.
I feel very proud and very humble at the same time about the family history.
But being able to proudly proclaim their family's connection to the founding of the city was not always easy. In fact, the group Los Pobladores 200, made up of direct descendants of the Pobladores, was formed only at the city's 200th birthday, a little more than 3 decades ago.
There was a lot of racism after the 1850s towards the mestizo population. And so a lot of us were not told of the stories, and we discovered them through either stories that we did find in family or doing our genealogy research.
But today, that history is being embraced not only by the descendants of our city's founders, but by those who take pride in being called an Angelino.
Not everyone walked the 9 miles from the San Gabriel Mission. Many, including the mayor, gathered at Union Station to take the symbolic walk across the street to El Pueblo. Recent home fires have city leaders giving out free smoke detectors. Another building on Broadway downtown gets ready for its second act, and a Cobra on the loose finds a new home down south.
Approximately 2/3 of home fire deaths occur in homes without working smoke alarms. Statistics show working smoke alarms increase the chance of surviving a home fire by 50%. In an effort to encourage their use, Mayor Eric Garcetti and Fire Chief Ralph Terrazas announced LA residents can get a free smoke alarm at any of the 106 neighborhood fire stations across the city. The mayor says this is all part of his Back to Basics agenda for Los Angeles, which includes emergency preparedness. We reported a while back regarding the medical marijuana farmers market that opened in the city and the city attorney's fight to shut it down. Well, a Superior Court judge has ruled in the city's favor, issuing a preliminary injunction against Progressive Horizon, Inc., the operator of the farmers market, citing its failure to comply with Proposition D, which limits the proliferation of medical pot shops within city limits. The ruling stated that Progressive Horizon, Inc. circumvented the law to produce a farmers market over 2 consecutive weekends in early June of this year. Councilman Jose Huizar's office announced that a buyer has been selected to purchase the former May Company department store. The building encompasses most of the west side of the block from Broadway to Hill Street between 8th and 9th Streets. The historic 1.1 million square foot Broadway Trade Center, built in 1908, will become a centerpiece of Councilmember Huizar's Bringing Back Broadway initiative, aimed at increasing economic development and job creation in the area, as well as preserving the history of the district. The monocled cobra, caught by LA County Animal Control and later put in quarantine at the Los Angeles Zoo, has found a new home at the San Diego Zoo. These photos were taken at LA Zoo's quarantine facility by Ian Recchio, curator of reptiles and amphibians. The hooded cobra had been on the loose for 4 days earlier this month before it was captured in Thousand Oaks. Residents believe a neighbor may have owned the pet.
And that brings us to This Week in Tweets. The white cobra on the loose sure got tongues hissing and fingers typing. It even had its own Twitter accounts. Yes, accounts, plural. The albino cobra tweeted after it was caught, "Someone call HBO because my story is not finished. Season 2 of True Detective, Albino Cobra Nights, starts right now." On another one of its Twitter accounts, the albino monocled cobra tweeted, "Brainstorming today on possible merchandising. What would you all think about a free Whitey mouse pad?" The LA Zoo also got in on the act, tweeting 2 of the Cobra's Twitter accounts, "Bad news, your housing application got denied. One bad reference." But jokes aside, the zoo also shared this Vine video of the reptile curator handling the Thousand Oaks cobra while at the LA Zoo quarantine facility. It also took to Twitter to clear up a misnomer that the cobra is in fact not an albino but a leucistic cobra, which means lack of all pigment and not just the lack of melanin. You can tell by the snake's blue eyes versus red with albino animals. And again, the cobra is now at the San Diego Zoo. Well, for the past 15 years, Point Fermin Park has been home to one of South Bay's longest-running classic car shows. Rasha Goel has more on how this show is just more than a place to talk cars.
Classic cars, barbecues, and a scenic view. It's all part of Car Show by the Sea, where car aficionados from across Southern California and even out of state bring out their beauties for a day to show off. It's all for a good cause. The Classic Car Show is a fundraiser organized each year by the Legends Car Club and the nonprofit Lions Club of San Pedro.
This is one of our biggest fundraisers, annual fundraiser, and we take the proceeds from there and give it back to the community.
The event started as a derby-style car race with the Classic Car Show element added soon after.
We stopped doing the downhill race because of the manpower and the cost of closing the streets and different things that we didn't feel it was worth doing any longer, although we have an awful lot of young people that wished we still were doing it.
Nonetheless, the Car Show by the Sea still draws hundreds of participants and spectators. This year, there were about 600 cars.
This is my 3rd year here, and it's always great, always great.
And you didn't have to be a car lover to appreciate these classic beauties. As they say, oldies but goodies. I'm Rasha Goel for LA This Week.
The car show had the support of the Department of Recreation and Parks and Councilman Joe Buscaino's office. Playing soccer in West LA just got a bit more fun for kids as officials debuted a new soccer field with the drought in mind. Yana Kay has more.
8-year-old Grant Howe and his brothers are having a blast kicking around the soccer ball on this brand new synthetic soccer field at the Westwood Recreation Center.
I really like soccer, and finally there's something that I can really play soccer on.
Various city officials and community members gathered to officially reopen the field to the neighborhood with a ribbon cutting. The soccer field's real grass was removed and replaced by turf. The field is 45 by 90 yards with perimeter fencing and secure gates. Officials say a field this size would require 50,000 gallons of water per week.
We in the department are absolutely very conscientious and sensitive to the drought and to also all of our parks. We would love to have one of these in every single park, but it takes partners, takes a few more dollars, and it takes a lot of commitment from the community.
And there was certainly plenty of commitment from the community, working for nearly 3 years with city officials to bring this field to life.
It's huge. For the park, it's huge. It's going to be the premier field in the area. For the kids, they have a great surface that is even, that is flat, and they're going to love it.
And so far, it appears they are loving it. And at only 5 years old, Grant's brother Luke already knows how important it is to save water, and plus, there's an additional benefit.
It won't get muddy because it's pretend grass.
This is absolutely a great step in the right direction.
This brings the total number of synthetic fields in Los Angeles to 24, and 3 more are currently under construction. And that means a big goal for the city. I'm Yana Kay for LA This Week.
And in this week's list of things to do, Rallycross at the waterfront, a sketching course, and archaeology for kids.
The giant rubber duck may have bid farewell to the Port of Los Angeles, but as promised, the LA waterfront is keeping its calendar full of activities to keep visitors entertained. On Saturday, September 20th and Sunday, the 21st, Red Bull Global Rallycross returns to the scenic San Pedro waterfront for its 7th event of the 2014 season. It had made its debut at the port back in April for its inaugural Media Day. With the roots of Rallycross in America firmly entrenched in Southern California, a victory in LA would be a hometown triumph for many of the series' stars. The LA waterfront is located at 3011 Minor Street in San Pedro. For tickets and other information, go to redbullglobalrallycross.com. Friday's racing is free and open to the public. Join landscape architect and architectural illustrator Richard E. Scott as he opens his sketchbook and shares with students his innovative approach to learning freehand observational sketching. This sketching on location course takes place at UCLA Extension at 306 1010 Westwood Center in Westwood on Saturday, September 20th from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. with other dates available. In this course, students learn how to draw anything with excellent accuracy, how to see with the eyes of an artist, and what separates artistic expression from merely copying. Students will sketch architecture and landscape while in the classroom as well as outdoors. For the cost of this course and to sign up, go to uclaextension.edu. Is your child a future archaeologist? You can get him or her ready for that day by going to the Skirball's simulated outdoor archaeological dig and field laboratory called Dig It, going on every weekend except for October 4th. Sift through sand to find hidden ancient artifacts, examine your findings, and work with the archaeology staff to piece together the puzzles found in a Near Eastern Iron Age town. This is included with museum admission. Drop in anytime before 4:30 p.m. during weekend museum hours. The Skirball Cultural Center is located at 2701 North Sepulveda Boulevard. Go to skirball.org. And that's a look at some upcoming things to do.
A giant party in honor of a historic Wilmington landmark, and everyone was invited. Anna Marcos takes us to the Banning Museum to show us what a 150th birthday bash looks like.
You might think you're at an old-time square dance hootenanny at some New England mansion, and you'd be somewhat correct. Cowgirls and cowboys of all stripes got in a little line dancing action to help celebrate the 150th anniversary of the very New England-style Banning Museum in Wilmington, formerly the Banning family home.
I got to tell you that Phineas Banning, actually, who is known as the father of the Port of Los Angeles, built this mansion that's here behind me.
The Bannings came from Wilmington, Delaware. When they landed here, it reminded them a lot of their old town back east. So here we have Wilmington, California.
The mansion, built in 1864, was shut down during World War II to provide military housing. But the community finally succeeded in reopening it to the public as part of Banning Park. The Friends of the Banning Museum now raise money for its upkeep and programs like its Victorian Christmas and Summer Concert Series and the daily museum tours.
You will see some of the original furniture. You will see that was used by Phineas Banning himself, including an 1875 piano. You'll also see period time clothing of what the kids wore, their games, and of course you will see their kitchen.
And let's not forget those historic hootenannies. Even the barbecue chicken, ribs, and tri-tip made in the open air are history lessons here, along with that big pot of campfire beans. I'm Anna Marcos for LA This Week.
That's going to do it for this edition. Thanks for joining us. I'm Ellen Chang. A reminder that you could catch us online at lacityview.org. You can also follow and like us on Facebook. We leave you with more of the Los Pobladores walk to mark the city's birthday. We'll see you back here next week for more of LA This Week.
Hi, I'm Chris. I'm an Iyengar yoga teacher here in Los Angeles, and you're watching LA City View, Channel 35, Our City, Our Channel. Namaste.
Sergeants. Good morning. It is Tuesday, September 16th. I'd like to welcome all of you to your Los Angeles City Council chamber. This council meets every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m., and we welcome the public. Madam Clerk, it would appear that we just got a quorum. Could you please call the roll?
Blumenfield, Bonin, Buscaino, Cedillo, Englander, Fuentes, Huizar, Carrasco, Krikourian, Labange, Martinez, O'Farrell, Parks, Price, Wesson. 10 members present, a quorum, Mr. President.
Okay, first order of business.
Approval of the minutes.
Koretz moves, Huizar seconds. Next.
Committee to resolutions for approval.
Martinez moves, O'Farrell seconds. That brings us to the pledge.
Yes, Mr. President.
Will be led in the pledge by Mr. Paul Koretz. Everybody, please rise. Please rise.
Please put your hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Koretz. Madam Clerk, if we could run through the agenda at this time.
Mr. President, first there is a request by members to continue items 6 and 16 to September 23rd.
Without objection.
And items 10 and 14 to September 19th.
Without objection.
Items 1 and 2 are items noticed for public hearing. There are cards on both items.
Okay, let's hold those items and move on to the next section.
Items 3 through 10 are items for which public hearings have been held.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Buscaino, you'd like to hold item 9?
Item 9, just for a no vote.
Well, here, then we'll take care of you shortly. Let's do item 9 at this point. Item 9. So let us open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
9 ayes, 1 no.
Okay, now can we go through the remaining?
Blumenfield, forthwith on 8, sir.
Okay, we got to get to 8, and we're getting ready to get there now. I just did yours, Joe. Okay, so now we'll do the other items. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
Hold on 1 second. 11 ayes.
Okay, and if I remember, Mr. Buscaino, item 8, forthwith for Mr. Blumenfield. Okay, Madam Clerk, that brings us where?
Items 11 through 21 are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes required for consideration.
Okay, so without objection, those items are now before us. Do we have cards?
Yes, cards on items 12, 13, 15, 17, 19, 20, and 21.
Okay, that leaves us with?
Items 11 and 18.
Okay, members?
Excuse me, Mr. President, those cards on number 11.
There are cards on 11?
Yes.
Okay, so let's vote on 18.
Yes.
Let us open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
All right, that brings us where?
Mr. President, that brings council to presentations or items called special.
Okay. Mr. Huizar, would you like to proceed?
Guys, want to come on up? Good morning. How are you? Good to see you as always. Hi, how are you? Good to see you. Yes, thank you. How are you? Good to see you. Hi, good morning. How are you? Good morning. How are you? Oh, my pleasure. Thank you. Ed, how are you? How are you? Good morning. I know. You got it? You got it, sir? Okay, thank you. Well, thank you very much, Mr. President. And it's a special year here in the city of Los Angeles as we celebrate the 100th anniversary of an organization that has provided hope, service, and the touch of humans to other humans to let them know that indeed the City of Angels cares about our residents. And I'm here to congratulate the Midnight Mission for its 100th anniversary, and let's give them a big round of applause congratulating them for their work. Thank you so much. And if we think about it for a minute, folks, this organization has been serving meals for 100 years. It has provided shelter from the elements for 100 years, and it has offered hope to those in need for 100 years. And I'd like to start off by thanking the staff at Midnight Mission who work diligently and hard each and every day to do this work. I'd like to thank the board members who will be introduced in just a bit. And I'd also like to thank the president of the Midnight Mission, Larry Adamson. I want to thank Larry for providing his leadership to this organization and providing a much-needed service to not only the people of Los Angeles, but for people throughout the United States. Dubbed the nation's homeless capital, Los Angeles has long struggled with one of the largest homeless populations in the country, much of it concentrated in a 1 square mile section of downtown Los Angeles. What is often overlooked is the inspiring work of homeless service providers in downtown Los Angeles. Too often we focus on the word more services, more housing, more help, but we forget to acknowledge the life-changing work being done at this time on a daily basis, such as the work that the Midnight Mission does. I want to take a moment to recognize one of the hardest working nonprofits in the Skid Row area by having this city recognition and acknowledging their work. And it is appropriate at this time to highlight its many services and stress the vital role they have played in improving the lives of countless individuals throughout their history. The primary goal of the Midnight Mission is to break the pattern of homelessness and despair by providing services and job training. Their emergency services, 12-step recovery program, job training, education, and work programs offer a bridge for individuals to lead productive lives. They help remove obstacles to self-sufficiency and provide the structure that people who are experiencing homelessness need to rejoin their communities. They serve the homeless with empathy and respect and provide the necessities of life, including food, shelter, clothing, personal hygiene needs, and medical care. They are among the largest meal providers of its type in the nation, preparing meals for the hungry, and it is the only Skid Row shelter to serve breakfast to men, women, and children from the street. Their recovery programs have helped many lost individuals of our community find hope and become productive members of our society. The Midnight Mission is not only a place where we see real concrete change in the lives of those they serve, but a place that is a beacon of hope within our community. So with that, let me introduce Larry Adamson, who will share a few words, introduce the board members, and then we could acknowledge their work to our city and our nation with a nice resolution from the City of Los Angeles. Larry?
Thank you, Councilman. Thank you very much. Thank you all very much. I think there's a really short video they're going to show right now. Okay. Councilman, I don't know who has the button. But...
Hello, I'm Tim Allen, and this is the Midnight Mission, an organization that for 100 years has led the way in helping people change their lives. Tom Littlecote, father of the poor, opened the doors of the Midnight Mission in 1914. It was a refuge for the men of Skid Row. Today, it continues its tradition by providing food, clothing, and shelter to the homeless community of Los Angeles. The Midnight Mission and its volunteers not only help support the community, but also offers a way out of poverty, drug addiction, and alcohol dependency by creating a path back to a life of self-sufficiency. The Midnight Mission operates without reliance on government funding, providing all their needed services with private donations. It offers a compassionate bridge to productive lives by providing job training, education, work programs, and most of all, family housing for the neediest among us, the women and children of LA. This is the day to write down the number and website address on your screen and do your part to make life better for our neighbors. Thanks.
Thank you. Council President Wesson, I'd like to start by acknowledging Councilmember Huizar for sponsoring this acknowledgement and my lifelong friend and colleague, Councilman Labange, for seconding this. I'd also like to acknowledge the rest of the council for your support of the services and our history here in your city. I'd like to thank our board of directors, some of whom are here today. They include our Vice Chair, Ali Razi, Mark Lieberman, Christina Olson, Catherine Chrisman, Dr. Ron Koretz, Ed Begley Jr., Vic Majerian, Adrian Foley, and my managing director for the past 40 years, Clancy Emislin.
Let's give them a round of applause. They deserve it. Thank you all. Thank you all so very, very much.
I'd also like to take a moment to thank the thousands of donors and volunteers who have allowed our organization the opportunity to serve continuously for the last 100 years without a dependency on government funding. With over 36,000 consecutive days of service, we at the Midnight Mission have never closed our doors one day during that period of time. And although I cannot compete with McDonald's claims for the total meals served, at the end of this year, we will be nearing 25 million meals served to Angelenos here in our community. With the addition of our multiple discipline, comprehensive approach to recovery, the Midnight Mission prides itself on removing obstacles and providing the accountability needed to see our clients return to self-sufficiency. As the President and CEO, I am honored to receive this resolution commemorating the Midnight Mission's 100 years of service as the premier social service agency in our community. Although I want to conclude by saying, although you all have received a formal invitation, I'd like to again invite you all in just 2 weeks from tonight on September 30th to the Beverly Wilshire Hotel, where we will commemorate our 100th anniversary Golden Hearts Gala. And I would like to, in advance, thank Council Member Huizar and Labange, who have made their commitment to join us that evening, and we look forward to that. Although I am saddened that it was not significant enough to make the mayor's calendar, I hope that the rest of you will be able to join us as well. I thank you again for this historic recognition, and we at the Midnight Mission stand committed to our continued answer to the needs of the people of Los Angeles and Southern California. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. Mr. Huizar, I'd like to ask Mr. Englander to say a few words at this time. Mr. Englander.
Thank you, Mr. President. And Jose, thanks for bringing them in. 100 years. And I think we pride ourselves here on doing the people's work. And you guys are all doing God's work. And we recently lost a facility in the San Fernando Valley, the San Fernando Valley Rescue Mission. I know you're all aware of. And because of the efforts by Paul Krikorian and bringing us all together to help rescue that mission, we've done a lot of great things to bring them back to life and give them new hope as well. But we're all in this together. In fact, I was meeting with some of those folks from the San Fernando Valley Rescue Mission recently, and they said, do you know why there are so many more homeless people downtown than there are in the San Fernando Valley? And I said, well, I've heard different people give different reasons, but what's your take on it? And they said, because you've got a lot of people from the valley that go downtown because there are no services in the San Fernando Valley. And the places like and they brought you up by name, so maybe your ears were burning, the Midnight Mission provide those kinds of transitional services, transitional housing, drug addiction, treatment programs, intervention programs, working with families, working with youth. It's a one-stop shop, 24 hours a day for 100 years. It's remarkable. And so I say God bless you to all of you and continue what you're doing, because it's truly making a difference in those most vulnerable in our society that truly need it. My hat's off to you. God bless you. Thank you.
Mr. Huizar, back to you.
Thank you, Mr. President. So on behalf of the City of Los Angeles and the City Council, I'd like to present this resolution congratulating and thanking the Midnight Mission for 100 years of doing God's work, as Mr. Englander so aptly put it. So thank you so much. There's much more work to do, but it's great to know that there's great people like you, great supporters, and great staff doing this work to help their fellow human being. Thank you so much.
Thank you so very much.
step back through here, and we're going to go back in the back room to take some photos. That's okay with me. Thank you so much. Make sure you take your belongings.
Hey, watch out. Watch out for this guy over here.
Which guy?
This guy right here, watch out for him.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much. Thanks a lot. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. Ed, I'll see you back here right now. I'll go back there. Okay, thanks. Thank you, sir.
Again, thank you so very much for all that you do. Okay, we're going to go to item 1, Mr. Walsh. John Walsh, item 1.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org or J. Walsh Confidential, tweeting at Hollywood Dems. This is number 1. Again, these are code violations and liens. There's only one here today. It's for $10,000. Notice the liens are always against South Crenshaw Boulevard. I just want all the black people watching this to know that most of the attention goes east of La Brea. If you're a slumlord or you want to cheat your tenants, do it west of La Brea and you'll get away with it. John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org, here in the racist capital of America. And this white boy should know.
Okay, let's prepare to vote on this item. Let us open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
We'll move on, Madam Clerk, to item 2, which was called special by Mr. Walsh as well. So Mr. Walsh passes on item 2. Let's prepare to vote on this. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
We'll move to item 15. That's you again, Mr. Walsh, item 15.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org. Stay tuned for when I can speak on anything on public comment. This is number 15. Again, you're doing a good job. When you do a good job, I tell you. And these are bad landlords who have not kept their apartments up to code. They do a fantastic job, these inspectors. We had some in our apartment complex, and they made the landlord, they were very strict on the landlord, and that's what you should be, strict on the landlord. Jackie Goldberg's the one who put this thing together. I have only praise for you here on the REAP. I'm not here to, a bunch of crooks, I'm a Nancy white guy. That's not John Walsh. When you're racist, I tell you you're racist. HollywoodHighlands.org.
Let's prepare to vote on this item. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
We'll move on to item 12. I think this is Mr. Herman. Item 12. Mr. Herman, if this isn't you, then we'll prepare to vote on it. No, if you have a card on this item, come forward. If not, let us vote. Let us open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
We'll move on to item 17. Mr. Walsh, item 17.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org. victimhs.org. This is the Victim Assistance Program. I think we should expand the Victim Assistance Program. For instance, all the people who have been harmed by the Sinaloa drug cartels stashing of money openly in the fashion district, just sitting $65 million there. Remember, that's money that goes to harm Mexico, to destroy Mexico. But that's why the victims, both Mexicans and Americans, of the drug cartel and their money laundering, we should help the victims of the money laundering. But then again, the LAPD tried to tip off the Sinaloa
Mr.
cartel.
President, he is not talking about
Let's get on the item, Mr. Walsh.
For them, HollywoodHighlands.org. They don't know nothing about no DEA.
Let's prepare to vote on the item. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Item 19, Mr. Herman.
Rather than go off topic, the concern to public interest is how do we provide economic development and cultural tourism growth and opportunities when we've become the hit-and-run capital of the world? How many times have we heard of the tragedies and the demise of individuals who are here under tourism, unfortunately don't make it home? Rather than allocate $30,000 to the cultural community and events lined up for the Cultural Affairs Special Appropriation Special Fund number 480 to advance Al Aire Libre de Pacoima, why don't we advance and allocate this money? Again, allocate and advance this $30,000 money to someone who really needs it. People who are here who have an economic disadvantage, and I'm talking specifically in the Pacoima era, those people who are here illegal immigrants, and provide a Cultural Affairs Department for them to prepare for the process necessary for documentation and make payments with this $30,000 to legalize them under Cultural Affairs Department to prepare for this process. The Department of Cultural Affairs has made many technical errors in the past, and so I'm saying to you, Angelinos, all those in the valley, like Mr. Krikorian, please don't cry, Mr. Krikorian. It's all right.
Stay on the subject. Stay on the subject.
Mr. Fuentes and Mr. Huizar, all I'm saying is, here's a good personal point of view of how we can allocate and manage. It's a great picture, Mr. Herb Wesson. Allocate the money. I see how you're paying attention for the
Why don't you stay on the subject?
And the people who really need it. Inner city of Los Angeles, the illegal population of people here today, and save your 1 minute, 1 second. Bye.
Okay, let's prepare to vote. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Okay, Mr. Cedillo, are you ready to proceed?
Morning. How are you? Good. Ready, sir? Good morning, Mr. President. First of all, let me say that yesterday was an incredible day. We celebrated what's known as El Grito, the clarion call for Mexican independence. And I want to take a second to thank the entire city family that was involved in putting together this incredible endeavor. I want to thank my colleagues, Felipe Fuentes and Jose Huizar and Nudi, and the representative from Watts, Mexico, Curran Price, who all participated. And then I want to, in particular, thank my staff, Arturo Chavez, my chief of staff. he could have a career as a producer, because he did an incredible job putting on this program, as did the entire staff. As many of you know, a lot of my staff, they're former organizers, and so they did a really great job on a very modest budget under incredible circumstances without skipping a beat. I felt like Ed Sullivan yesterday. I felt like a Mexican Ed Sullivan, or what's that guy's name, Don, on the Saturday? Don Francisco. I felt like Don Francisco yesterday because I had my own gala show, and so I just want to take a second to thank the entire city family and those who were able to join us. I know you had a good time. And so, not to leave that undone, but it's simply the kickoff. Imagine that in this great city. It's simply the kickoff to what's called Latino Heritage Month. And we've been working with the committee that's being chaired by Monica Rodriguez, who is the Vice President of Public Works. We're working in partnership with the General Manager of the Department of Cultural Affairs, Danielle Brazel. And the committee and the DCA have worked tirelessly not only to produce the events that are highlighted, and you'll see the poster there, and everyone should get a copy of this book. I'm schlepping stuff now. But it's a great month in this city, in this great city of diversity. It demonstrates how we value diversity. And so you've got the billboard, you've got the books that are on your desk, and let me hand this over to Danielle so that she can talk to us about what we can look forward to. Danielle, where are you? There you are.
I'm right behind you, Councilman. Hi, good morning. It's such a pleasure to be here. The official role as the General Manager of the Department of Cultural Affairs. I want to invite you all to this incredible citywide festival of Latino heritage that happens throughout our great city and even beyond. As you all know, we do not live in an island. We have a massive mosaic of other cities and communities, all with incredibly rich and diverse Latina heritage. This book, in and of itself, is incredible artwork, so I hope that you all get a chance and take a look at the work that was put together by our marketing department. Will Capertoni Montoya is here, and he does these every single year. The other thing, which is so great, is that we have an incredibly beautiful website that we encourage you to link on your site so that you can get this information out to your constituents in the communities that you serve, because not only is this book great, but we want to aggregate the information. I want to acknowledge the great, incredible leadership of our chair this year, Monica Rodriguez, who worked tirelessly to assemble this incredible display of community events, many of which are free and or low cost. It has been such a pleasure to work with her, and I look forward to working with her throughout the entire festival. So without further ado from me, please welcome Monica.
Good morning, council members. This is a very exciting kickoff that we have in store to celebrate the diversity of Latino Heritage Month. We've really gone above and beyond to really capture all the different members of the Latino community to be a part of this celebration. And I know, Councilmember Price, you and Councilmember Cedillo were part of our launch of the unprecedented effort that we've done in creating this collaboration with Metro on using your tap card to do a show and save. So many of your staffs were such active participants in supporting the work that we were trying to do to create this partnership with Metro and identifying businesses in your community that we wanted to highlight, that if you show your Metro tap card, you're going to get a discount. And so this program is extended began September 1st and goes through October 31st, and we want to encourage, we have tap cards, branded tap cards for each of you to go out and use in your districts. In addition to that, we have the launch of our first Latinos in Hollywood exhibit, which is going to capture and highlight all the folks, all the Latinos that are in front and behind the scenes in Hollywood and have made significant contributions in Hollywood. It's going to be exhibited at Terminal 4 at LAX. will be viewed by over 90,000 visitors on a daily basis. This is the kind of exposure that we need in order to help galvanize and get folks to understand that LA is the place you want to celebrate Latino Heritage Month. So thank you so much for your staff's efforts in supporting this so that we can continue to show all that LA has to offer. And with that, I'd like to present on behalf of the hardworking committee a miniature version of Rita Hayworth for Councilmember Cedillo. Thank you so much for your leadership and partnership in this month.
Thank you. Why, that's right.
So, Rita Hayworth, obviously a very famous actress, is of Spanish origin, has some heritage in being raised in Mexico as well. And so this is just an example of some of the talent that Latinos have contributed to Hollywood, and we wanted to, again, recognize and highlight those contributions. And so, again, thank you all so much. We look forward to seeing you at the multitude of events that we have scheduled throughout the city. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Item 21, Mr. Herman.
Mr. Speaker, relative to funding for community improvements, this commission by the Parks and this council for maintenance or deferred monies to transfer the appropriate $12,300 to the Central Los Angeles Recycling Transfer Station out of this trust fund to the Department of Recreation and Parks funds. Incidentally, and however, there are many other parks in the city of Los Angeles that Mr. Huizar has neglected. And because of people like us and Gloria Molina, we threw the biggest party for all of you. What, Jay-Z, Beyonce, here at City Hall for you in Grand Park. So let's stay at a topic about parks today. For the reason we have parks is that people can relate to the services, the programs, and activities you can celebrate, enjoy, and accompany that time. Most Angelenos don't have a backyard, and we all need parks. However, in Boyle Heights, I know Gloria Molina is going to fix Hazard Park with all the allocation of money that's never been used to repair, fix the
Could we
parks.
stay on the topic, please, Mr.
To
Herman?
fix the parks. Because our parks are our largest attribution to life. Thank you, Roosevelt. And thank you, U.S. Congress, for ADA compliance to regulate our parks so that those people who are disabled can attend parks without the apprehension of your slip and fall that you committed day by day, Mr. City Attorney and Mr. Herb Wesson. That's the point about parks. So let's keep it ADA friendly. All of you come to the parks. All of us love parks. And again, 1 hour and 29 minutes, Mr. Herb Wesson said.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. So, with that said, let's prepare to vote. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Item 11, Ms. Pearman, are you here? Item 11, Donna Pearman.
This is for Lacer Board. I'm hoping that the person who's working for Lacers does a good job for people who work in sanitation, because they're very hard-working employees who have to do really hard physical work. So anything that they are able to get, any equipment, any employees, anything they need, they should have, because our city won't run unless we have a well-run sanitation. So thank you for being there for the board. And remember the workers, all the mechanics, and the
Stay
the
on the
supervisors.
topic, Donna.
So take care of your employees. That's all I'm
Stay
saying.
on the topic.
That is
Thank
the topic. They're taking care of sanitation, and take care of them.
Now,
Thank you.
okay, let's prepare to vote on this item. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Congratulations. We'll now move on. Yeah, it's done. We'll now move on to item 13. Mr. Gus and Ms. Pearman.
So good morning. As of this morning, Ms. Yanez's financial disclosure statement was not posted on the website. And I guess how are you going to vote for somebody to be a commissioner if you don't know what their financial disclosure statement says? Well, I will tell you. Ms. Yanez, she's a nice person, but she is employed by the Humane Society of the United States, the HSUS, which makes her a paid unregistered lobbyist on one of your commissions. Ms. Yanez has voted and discussed elephant issues, which HSUS lobbies for in Sacramento. She participates in discussions and votes on spay-neuter, which HSUS lobbies on license differential, on shelter reform. How can she possibly be a commissioner when she's a paid, unregistered lobbyist? Also, Ms. Yanez has refused to say yes or no as to whether she's related to Mr. Cedillo. There's no crime if she's related to Mr. Cedillo. But what's deceptive is not telling us. Why won't she say yes or no? Maybe Mr. Cedillo will tell us if she's related to him. The city, this department misses millions of dollars in revenue and then uses revenue as an excuse for not getting things done. Animal Services can't account for thousands of animals on her watch, and they don't respond to CPRAs. But it gets down to the basics. Look at this. The city has about 12% of its dogs licensed and registered. Look at the card we got the other day about dog registration. No dog's name, no dog's license number, no amount due. You wonder why you're missing millions of dollars? Look at this. It doesn't tell you which dog, the amount, or what's due on this nice person's watch. Thank you. Is she related to Cedillo?
Come on, Donna.
Well, I don't think she is, because she waved no. So anyway, so we have to be able to take care of all the animals. So I hope you do that. You said you weren't doing on the watch, but I hope you do this on the watch, because we want to be able to have an area where we have no kill. The animals that go to the shelter, it won't be a kill place. It'd either be cats, dogs, or any other animals. And so I hope that, since I'm just going to say, basically, I hope that you do a good job for the taking care of the animals, because we need to be able to have all the animals saved that go to the shelter, and it should be a place for saving them. So thank you.
This is Herman.
Great. Thank you very much. Mr. Herman.
So where are we at? Where are the thousands of animals that we reported that are what? Where and by whom? Adopted? Transferred? By whom? Who told us a lie and deceived us without the transparency and the redundancy of malicious lies, deceit. But it's your actions. Were these animals adopted? When I tried to adopt a little white dog, and he was white, a little dog, remember, last week, when Herb Wesson told me about Mr. Governor, what's his name? Remember, 1 hour and 29 minutes? What did he say? But let's stay on topic, Mr. Herman. Stay on topic. So we want transparency, and we want you to acknowledge the name of the person mentioned by the last speaker. I want to know who they are, where they are, and what they are in relation to this. Is this nepotism, Mr. Koretz, or what?
Thank you. All right, Mr. Walsh.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org, or J. Walsh Confidential, tweeting at Hollywood Dems. The animals are important. I'll tell you why. Because human beings can speak up when they're abused. The animals can't. And we have under Brenda Barnett the cruelest animal control. You know, it's sort of like the Nazis' Jewish control. Now, let me point out, and I would like Ms. Alana Yanez, or Janez, to come up here and explain this new pilot program, which you just passed under number 9, ACE pilot program, and I want everyone to realize what they passed without saying a word. From now on, any lost or stolen or misplaced dog or cat is branded a wild animal. And if anybody feeds that animal that lost a stolen cat, kitten, puppy, that person is subject, feeds them, takes them to a veterinarian, or harbors them, they are subject to up to $1,000 fine. Now, if that's bullshit, say it's bullshit, or admit that that's what you just did. You know, when you go after me, it's fine. I'm a human being. But when you crush cats and then crush dogs and call those animals wild animals and don't even discuss it here, again, that was number 9. It's the program under number 9. It's the ACE program. If I am full of shit, you can destroy my credibility forever if one of you gets up and says, Mr. Walsh, that never happened. HollywoodHighlands.org. Despicable attack on animals, garbage.
Seeing no other speakers on the queue, no speakers on this, no other cards, we'll go ahead and open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Next item, please.
Item 20, call special for cards.
Okay, we've got a stack of cards. We're going to go to a minute on this particular item because I want to make sure that we actually get through all the cards on this particular item. So if we could, Greg Spiegel, followed by Paul Dumont, followed by Janet Denise Kelly. And if we can get the other speakers to line up behind the second set of rope, Autumn Elliott, Ray Darling. Please.
Hello, my name is Greg Spiegel with Inner City Law Center, and I'm representing a coalition that has been opposed to the Community Care Facilities Ordinance for several years. We're opposed to extending the sunset because the ad hoc committee has been doing more of the same that was done before. It continues to focus on creating definitions that exclude certain people from neighborhoods rather than distinguishing good housing from bad and using enforcement to compel repairs of bad buildings. Instead, the solutions to nuisance and code enforcement problems are nuisance and code enforcement. Resources should be focused on fixing bad buildings and making bad landlords comply with existing law. In addition, despite repeated assurances to the contrary, community stakeholders have not been invited to participate on panels at the ad hoc committee, but rather have been limited to speaking during public comment for a minute. If council extends the sunset, we ask for a few things. One, it should focus on the other proposal that came before this council in 2013, which is about enforcement. There has not been 1 second spent on that proposal that this council asked the ad hoc committee to look at. Thank you.
Mr. Dumont.
Good morning.
My name is Paul Dumont. I'm a volunteer housing advocate with the Sober Living Network. Last night, over 6,000 people slept in our member homes in Southern California. These are people striving to turn their lives around who agreed to abstain from the use of drugs and alcohol. They're a protected disabled class under fair housing laws. It's estimated that over 49,000 low-income and disadvantaged people share housing in Los Angeles. A disproportionate number of racial and ethnic minorities also covered by fair housing protections. These people need more options, not less. We're not without solutions to valid neighborhood concerns about problem properties. The remedy for nuisance and code enforcement is nuisance abatement and code enforcement. Nobody wants a bad neighbor, but we are long past the time when a few of the elite can regulate entire classes of people out of communities through land use regulations. This is Los Angeles. We're the most diverse city on the planet. We will not pass a law that pushes the poor, disabled, and minorities out of stable housing back into despair. We will find a way to deal with the
Thank you very much.
homes.
Thank you.
And help those that want help.
Janet. Good morning.
Good morning. Janet Denise Kelly from Sanctuary of Hope, also a member of the South Los Angeles Homeless Stay and Foster Care Collaborative. I'm urging the City Council not to support an extension of the CCFO ad hoc committee. We believe that's going to have an adverse impact on youth of color as well as homeless individuals in the South Los Angeles region. And it is our hope that the City Council will look at other alternative solutions and not the proposition that you have before you that I firmly believe is discriminatory as a resident, as someone who works and worships in South LA.
Good morning.
Good morning. Autumn Elliott, Disability Rights California. We are the protection and advocacy system in the state of California for people with disabilities. The council has heard from us and from others in the disability community that changing the definition of family and other definitions will reduce housing opportunities for people with disabilities. The ad hoc committee is headed down the path of changing those definitions without learning about the ways in which people with disabilities rely on shared housing to live in the community. Holding meeting after meeting doesn't do any good if there's no effort to learn about the very housing that's going to be affected. Because of that, we ask the council to vote against extending the time period for the ad hoc committee. Thank you.
If we can actually keep applause down, it's disrupting the meeting because we're waiting for a speaker to speak. So we're going to ask for no booing and no applause during the meeting. Thank you.
Okay, yeah. With any city that has a role to help people, get off the streets and become a living community, there's a locality that has to be respected, and they're going to have guidelines for where they want people and how it is going to work. And I just think that the whole idea of people coming in off the street should not be shunned away, but addressed by a locality as a sect. Thank you.
Thank you. William Mitchell, followed by Larry Porter, followed by Kia. I apologize, I could not read the writing on the last name. Followed by Thelmy Paris. Come on up. Good morning. Thanks for coming in.
Hello, my name is William Mitchell. I'm currently staying at Paul's Sober Living. Before I came there, I was told, I just want to say that I'm thankful because without Sober Livings, I'd be homeless, probably dead or in jail. So I just want to say thank you.
Great, thank you.
Hi, my name is Lawrence A. Porter, and I'm a resident of Paul's Sober Living Home, and I'm thankful for the place that I have to live in this morning because without it, I would probably be lost. I'd probably be somewhere we're currently not, which is an opportunity to make it in this world, an opportunity to be blessed, and an opportunity to be part of Paul's success story. And I think that anyone that's against the program should just get a second look at it, maybe be a little more positive, because without this program that I live in, I would not be maybe the future President of the United States of America. You never know. That's all I want to share.
Next speaker, please.
Good morning, council members. My name is Telmi Perez, and I am a tenant in the city of Los Angeles. I'm also a community organizer with the LA Human Right to Housing Collective. I am here to strongly encourage the council not to approve the extension of a sunset on the CCFO ad hoc committee. This committee has already had an extension, given that the sunset should have happened in April, and we're seeing more of the same. Inefficiency, ineffectiveness, and exclusion. In fact, at the first CCFO ad hoc committee meeting, I was denied from being able to speak because I did not submit my card before there was quorum, and the committee started taking comments before there was even quorum. I was not allowed to speak. Same thing that's happening here with limiting us to a minute so that we're not able to fully express why we think there should be options for residents in the city of Los Angeles that are experiencing a housing crisis in which the majority of us are paying 47% of our incomes just toward rent. We need solutions that address this crisis and not exclude people and make people become homeless. That's the last thing that we need. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. James Porter. Again, we're going to ask if you can line up in this order. Thelmy Perez. Oh, you know what? These ones were filled out twice.
Yes, I have to agree.
I'm sorry, just one
I have to agree with Thelmy on this here.
Go ahead.
We got 1 minute when everybody else got 2 minutes. And Mr. Allender, you are pushing this motion here. You should give us time to speak, to explain why we're here. But since you're not doing that, I'm going to ask every council member to listen to us when we come up here instead of talking among one another. I mean, out of respect, I deserve that. And everybody in here speaking deserve that, okay?
Now I'll run this one.
This motion, why we're asking you to stop, not to extend it, is because it's going to have a devastating effect on housing. We are not ready for that. This has been put to the table, and we're still trying to pass it. End this now so we can move forward to other things better for housing. Thank you.
Carol Rosen. Did you already speak? Is it Juana Walston? Or Wollaston? Please. Good morning.
My name is Carol Rosen. I'm here to tell you that I have had my experiences with being very, very successful. However, I had a horrible, horrible incident happen in my life. Had it not been for community sober living picking me up and saving my life, I wouldn't have a year today of living a productive life. I don't know where I would be, probably dead. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, I'm Janae Wollaston. I don't understand why you guys would want to push us in a corner or push us on the back streets. We've already lived that life. Today we want to be recognized and live our life back into society. And places like this is what they help us do. Day in, day and night. We're not out using the drugs. We're not out, in the public eye looking all crazy and everything. We're inside a place that's helping us live our life today. That's the goal, to live life on life terms. When we were out there in the streets, it's not like if any one of you guys were pulling us to the side and giving us suggestions on how to live our life. When places like this come along, most take advantage of it. I'm here today to say I'm taking advantage of it. Pushing us on the back streets or in some big building, not letting us be seen by society and letting you guys know that we are trying to be successful.
Thank you, ma'am. Next speaker, I'm trying to read the writing, so forgive me. Well, come on up if I called your name.
Good morning, Council. My name is Keith Walton.
I'm currently staying at one of Paul's Sober Livings, and honestly, I mean, I don't understand why you, go for an extension. I mean, the main goal is to integrate back into society. I'll tell you right now, if I was staying at a place that was in Boyle Heights where I used to stay, I would be right around the corner from a bunch of drugs. I mean, I'm completely against it. That's it.
Thank you. Bob, is this, and I apologize, this is Bobby? Looks like fleas or flailers? No? Okay. The next one, Renee Botello. Followed by our final speaker, Sharif Lewis.
Good morning. Renee Botello. This is my first time in a community sober living, and I had a difficult time with it in the beginning, but they showed me the right way to live, and I've gained a lot from it. Like I said, it was difficult in the beginning, but I did learn, and they're very supportive. And I understand there's difficulties in the beginning, but you have to learn how to live it, and you have to work it. They don't hold you by the hand. They just direct you in the right direction. And whether you choose to follow it or not, it's up to you. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
I also am in sober living, and before I was in there, my life was chaotic. Currently planning on going back to school, and I've already rekindled a relationship back with my family. And I'm doing 100% better, and I'm just letting you know that there is some success stories at the sober living. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Yes, sir. Do you have a card filled out?
I needed a card to speak. Why wasn't my name called?
What was your name?
Kei Utsumi.
Go ahead and speak. There's a couple cards that I called out that I apologize. The reading, some of them was difficult. But please, go ahead. The floor is yours, sir.
Yeah. I don't know why you don't speak clearly. Do not extend the sunset of the CCFO. Community Care Facility Ordinance was supposed to sunset last April. I oppose to extending the sunset ad hoc committee has been the CCFO is ineffective. It will eliminate shared housing for people in need in today's economy. More and more people are dropping from the middle class into the poverty class. We need more shared housing, more affordable housing, not less. And that includes parolees, seniors, veterans, people on fixed income.
Thank you, sir.
The people.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Good morning. Do you fill out a card as well?
Yes.
And your name?
Bayoy Flores, and I like to speak.
Okay, yes, I was trying to read that name. Okay, yes, please.
There's people that are out there that need help. That are on the street, that are on SSI, that are suicidal and stuff, and they're on drugs. These people, the community service help people like us, and we thank them. And these places will help a lot of people that are like us. So keeping these places like this is a good thing. So thank you.
Great, thank you. That concludes all the speakers on this item, colleagues. Seeing no speakers on the queue, this is simply to continue the ad hoc committee. And so we'll ask for your aye vote. We can open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
13 ayes, that is unanimous, and we'll go ahead and move that forthwith without objection. That'll be the order. And we'll go ahead also, if we could, move item 17 forthwith. Thank you very much. Next item, please.
Mr. President, for item number 6, there's a request, that item was continued to September 23rd. There's a request to continue that item to September 19th instead.
Okay, then that'll be the order without objection. Mr. Krikorian.
Mr. President, can I ask that item number 9 be sent forthwith as well, please?
Absolutely. That'll be sent forthwith without objection. Okay, next items, please.
Mr. President, that brings council to general public comment.
Mike W., followed by Carl Williams, followed by Phyllis Doherty, followed by Brian. And if we can get the others to line up behind the second ropes. If you're not there, we'll go ahead and go to the next speaker and file your card as received, which is why that second set of ropes is there. Please, the time is yours.
Blazing Broncos, y'all. Y'all done brought me back down here. I'm here to support Venice Beach people, the African Americans, Blazing Broncos. The fucking white niggers team crew is here. You guys brought me back down here. I didn't want to come back down here, but you guys brought me back down here. Jobs are important. Son of a bitch, Chief Beck. Son of a bitch. You brought me back down here. Why did you go in there and take the African American community jobs? That's what we do as part of the crime. We want crime to go up in Venice. Blazing Broncos, son of a bitch. Got to love you guys. Got to love you guys.
Next speaker.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is pertaining to Venice Beach Boardwalk. The 4215 is totally discriminated towards African American and Venice Beach Boardwalk.
I'm sorry, your name, sir, was?
Carl Williams. And Mr. Mike Bonin is totally a racist because every time he approve ordinance, it's pertaining to stop the blacks from displaying day formal items and allow the Spanish and the white to display day items, and most of the items are commercialized, and they say our items are commercialized, we cannot display, but the Hispanics and the white display their stuff that's commercialized, that come from China, Mexico, Korea, but they allow them to display their stuff and make money, but they stop us from making an honest living when people down there stabbing, selling drugs, doing all kind of crime, but the police find the time to harass us for no reason when we try to make an honest living. And we want to know why Mr. Mike Bonin, who are absent, discriminate against African American when you would like someone to discriminate against him as an open gay senator. Why he discriminate against us?
Good morning, Mr. Speaker. My name is BVC Binoba. Actually, I'm a vendor on Venice Beach. We're trying to make honest living. The real truth, we really want to know why are they harassing we Africa, America on the boardwalk, trying to make honest living. We don't take government money. We don't need government money. What we try to struggle for just to try to survive, as other ethnic people are trying to survive on the boardwalk. But the real fact, trying to represent my culture as red, gold, and green, I don't see no reason why they're harassing us. That is all I have, Mr. Speaker.
Next speaker, please. And your name, please?
Hello, my name is Brian.
Okay.
Well, I came here today to speak on a subject that my fellow brethren were just talking about the Venice Beach. I find it ridiculous that this country, America, you guys can order things from overseas and sell it all over the place, which is pretty much, I'm guessing, what this country does. And when it comes to us small, regular people, it's a big problem. In my eyes, or in my mind, the only thing that I can think that the reason why you guys are doing this is because you guys aren't getting money from it. You know what I mean? While everyone else on the boardwalk, I guess they do the same thing too, but I've only seen the police approach us and no one else. I've seen a cop come up to us and tell me that we can't have our things up, and then go right down the same way, talk to a lady, and just leave her be. Don't tell her to set up, don't give her tickets or anything. I think it's obviously discrimination against who we are and what we believe in. That's pretty much all I got to say.
Next speaker. Phyllis, come on up.
Thank you, Phyllis Doherty with Animal Issues Movement. I hope Mr. Fuentes will listen, and all of you will listen, because what I'm going to talk about could affect any one of you. One of our animal control officers was savagely attacked last Friday morning by 2 American pit bulls as the only officer covering the entire area from Barham to Boyle Heights and all of West Los Angeles to Beverly Hills. There was one officer out that night. He covers from Chatsworth to Barham and all of the valley. That's the way it is every night. That is all of the officers that you have out there. Your humane investigations are behind for months. There is no protection. When this officer was attacked, she attempted to call her shelter to get someone to come and help her. There is no one. There is no officer. She was asked to go there by LAPD because they do not want to handle animal situations. She arrived and found that these 2 dogs had already attacked a dog in someone's backyard. It could be your backyard. It could be your dog. It could be your child. The man was being held hostage in his house by these dogs and could not get out. The county has 150 animal control officers for the same area and the same number of people as the city of LA. We have 39 officers. They have 150, and they still don't have enough. You need to know that this department is in shambles. Ms. Barnett never contacted this officer to find out how she was. Mr. Salazar contacted her 8 days later, 10 days if you count in the weekends, to ask her, how are you doing, from a private phone. This department, this city, is seriously at risk because of the situation created by Los Angeles Animal Services mismanagement. You need to look at what's going on.
Next speaker.
My name is Teresa Young. I'm a Pasadena resident, but I'm here today to speak for my dear friend Paul Hansen, who lives in the city of Los Angeles, and his address is 2132 Lakeshore Avenue. He lives in Echo Park. He was my boss in the mid-'70s. We were puppeteers for the city of Los Angeles. We went all over the city. I saw, within my 1.5 years as a puppeteer, 500,000 children within the city of Los Angeles. We went to parks, we went to old folks' homes, we went to hospitals, we even went to jails. My friend, my boss, my dear friend, saw more than 2 million children. Now he's in a situation where the building and safety, for one reason or another, wants him to take the first floor out of his home. By the way, my friend is 77 years old. His friend is 83 years old. He has been living in my friend's bottom apartment. It's a first floor. You could call it a basement, but it's really a first floor. It was built in his home in the 40s. The house was built in 1922. My friend bought the home in 69. And building and safety says you need to dig a hole, you need to dig it out and make the ceiling at 7 feet as per code. He can't do that. It's impossible. He's an artist. How many artists do you know can do that kind of thing? I sent in my contractor friend, and he said, well, at $11,000, we could do it if there were no problems, but well over $100,000 if it can. I want you to actually use this little tiny code here that you said okay to, 2010 California Code. It's Chapter 7.8, Shelter Crisis. You can do this. You can help my friend in Echo Park and say, you don't have to leave and you don't have to pay this.
Thank you very much.
Incredible.
Next speaker, please.
Fellow Americans, Neel Kashkari for governor is what I had mentioned past week, but it was Herb Wesson, who you can hear in the background laughing, saying, take his ass home, it's over. The elections are not over. Neel Kashkari, I support you. The people of the city of Los Angeles support you. When you listen to 1 hour and 29 minutes and 27 seconds on the video media, Herb Wesson in the background is saying, take your ass home, it's over. Now, whether he's referring that to Mr. Herman, Batman, or Neel Kashkari, that's an insult to our government. But City Attorney Mr. Mike Feuer, regarding the quality of life, regarding poverty and homelessness on item 20, what? What is the solution? Civil rights attorneys to sue the city more and more? The city and the county officials have embarked, but with what result? What strategy? What strategy? Really, I believe in many, and many would agree that the city has done nothing to change the situation, as you heard many of your constituents speak on 1 minute. Reform is the most important thing, but the issue is on this issue, quality of life. Quality of life, Mr. Mike Feuer, your rights to protect our rights under the Constitution. Thank you, Nikki. And to all my constituents and those in the background listening in and really paying attention. Do you really listen to your constituent speakers? Not at all. So, Mr. Speaker, I'm not going to hold my time. I'm going to waste your time to criticize you on your $75,000 payout, misuse of the taxpayers' appropriations. And I'm going to talk about Gloria Molina whenever I want, and anyone else from Boyle Heights who's running against Jose Huizar. Thank you.
Next speaker.
Good morning. Where are we? Good afternoon. Hi, Mr. Parks and everybody. Thanks for your attendance and your service. I'd be at the police commission meeting usually.
Your time, your name, please.
Oh, thanks. Bill Watkins. Should have filled out a card. Should be among yours. Law Dragons. I teach law to 5-year-olds and up, law and civics, called the Law Dragons.
Don't have a card on you.
Is this public comment?
It's general public comment.
General public, yeah. That's what I did. Turn it into the sergeant over here.
One. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Anyways, I teach law to 5-year-olds and up, called Law Dragons. I have a dragon suit and hand puppets. I go down to 5 years old because I drank alcohol in my dad's lap when I was 5 and I went a bad way. I live in Rose Hill, 90032, Mr. Huizar's district, number 14. I was happy that the Huizar district reached out to me, said hello today. Miguel's over there. I really appreciate that. I'm staying the course with support as long as there is a hand reaching out and I feel a link. You know, there's things brewing. There's a Molina. There's a Bill Watkins, who is me, wanting to do a lot of good things. And even though I look a certain way, I do speak Spanish, amazingly enough. Es un milagro, pero hablo español. And I can do a lot in my area. I'm a DJ, and I connect with the kids pretty well. And I just wanted to check in. I would have told the police commission, I think it's time to stand down on our lethal weapons. And it's time to research 911 calls and see how many of them require lethal force or any sign of it, a lethal force. And I think we need to start making hiring decisions and training decisions based on those numbers. We need to stand down and learn to be courteous and not be the type of officers that order other people around, because that's what you get from your drill sergeants. So we need to please look at all of that. And anyways, nice to see everyone, Mr. Cedillo, everyone present today. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Donna?
I believe in the Second Amendment rights because guns do save lives. Anyway, I want you to bring back video conferencing, please. I beg you. Today I decided to come from work from West Los Angeles, and I saw that you closed down lanes of Wilshire Boulevard for miles. So, But anyway, you shouldn't do that. Anyway, I should be speaking in Van Nuys. Anyway, I spoke one statement last week. ISIS is not an antichrist, but monsters bent on death, destruction, and domination. They are powerful, must be dealt with by our military, not civilians, okay? All peaceful Jews, Muslims, and Christians need to come together and unite for the common good of all mankind. But peace cannot prevail unless terror is eradicated. My opinion, Obama is not properly dealing with ISIS. Perhaps he's in bed with them. I don't know. It should be impeached. He's not in bed. He's dealing with ISIS or any other terrorism. Play golf full time. We need a leader that will help protect us. Put boots on the ground, thousands on the ground, at least help surveillance for the airstrikes. Bring other nations, especially other Islamic nations, who are against ISIS, and humiliate ISIS. Stop the spread of terror. We need to lift the ban on assault weapons for law-abiding gun owners with proper background checks. We can't depend on our country to save us. We may have to save ourselves. If you come to slay us, slay them. Remember Foley, Saltloff, who was betrayed by moderate rebels, so be careful who you help. Remember also the newest man who was beheaded. Remember 9/11. We need to be able to stop the terror of ISIS, and we need to get our Marine back. Please get our Marine back that was in Mexico. I have a nephew who's a Marine. This is a young man that needs to be helped. Please help him.
Thank you. Now, Daniel, I don't know what kind of order, not you, Donna, but I have you followed by Brian Barajas, followed by Mr. Akala. So that's the order of the cards. So, Mr. Gus.
Thank you. Following up on what Phyllis Doherty spoke about, Officer Angela Uranus, R-E-N-E-S or A-S, was the officer who was severely injured about 2 weeks ago. I predicted that injury. I predicted it in writing about a month ago. Now she's severely injured, and if she hadn't had his training from elsewhere before, she would be dead, and you'd be looking at a wrongful death lawsuit. This officer covers everywhere from that night from Boyle Heights to Barham to San Pedro to West LA. One officer. We're really lucky that now we're not dealing with a wrongful death lawsuit, as I had predicted. Now, please notice that Mr. Cedillo did not respond to the question of whether or not he's related to Commissioner Alana Yanez. Please note that there were no questions for her. There was no financial disclosure discussion. There's no financial disclosure on the website. If there's not going to be any clarity about what are these conflicts of interest, is she a paid unregistered lobbyist, whether she's related to Mr. Cedillo, what's the point? It's a charade. It's a charade. But you should know that the officer could have lost her life because you didn't even ask her about the millions of dollars in revenue. Look at this card. How do people know what to pay? 12% of the dogs in this city are licensed. You're passing up a minimum of $3.2 million a year in revenue, probably $7 or $8 million a year. That money could have gone to prevent this injury. That money could have gone for more officers or better training or a backup that could save the next officer's life. Because eventually, this plan, it's going to end up killing somebody. And from what I understand, Brenda Barnett has not even contacted this injured city employee. Thank you.
Thanks, Daniel. So I have Brian Barajas, then I have Juan Akala, then I believe it's a Mark Hurd. So you guys are the next three. Yes, Brian.
I have an announcement. On every Thursdays, LaRouche PAC has a teleconference call. You can call in 559-726-1200, access code 885492#. This happens every Thursdays at 8 p.m. Pacific time. But what I came here to do is easy. Everybody keeps saying, well, what's happening with ISIS? I don't have to make it difficult. Former Senator Bob Graham, ever since Obama came out with the speech that he's going to train rebels in Saudi Arabia and that he's requesting that Congress give him $1 billion or $500 million. You have to understand, ever since I've been coming down here, I've been pushing for the release of the 28 pages and other things like impeaching Obama. The release of those 28 pages specifies that the Saudis were involved along with others. Some people mention Qatar, some people mention Turkey, but Saudi Arabia was and still is the terror network itself, even though they could be getting help from the British government. Obviously, people have to keep in mind that nations like Scotland is about to break from the British crown. This means that the British Empire is gone. The problem that I keep facing here in the United States is when are people going to push their congressmen to read those classified 28 pages and join with HRES 428 to release those documents? Because what I can tell you is that this empire is building up its army, and we, the people, are becoming more and more defenseless. Where's the water going to come from? Nowhere. Do we have to evacuate?
Thank you. So Wanakala, I believe is Mark Hurd and John Walsh. Yes, Mr. Akala.
Yes, Mark Hurd deserves to be heard, but he went down to fetch a pail of water, I think. Just like, Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water. Mark Hurd is a prominent citizen of this city, and he's going to finance the Suma dog so he can come back and help the people here get even more freedom of speech. So we are forming a coalition to illustrate, to educate, to let you politicians know that you're full of shit. You are totally full of shit. You're not actually serving anybody but yourselves. And you keep making us promises that you will never keep. What we need to do to end this world homelessness, yeah, but the homelessness issue, the ability to give everybody a little place on earth will end the rest of all these people fighting each other over territory. If we make a world where everybody can share their homes from one place to another, we will not need weapons to control each other. We don't need the LAPD to go beat down on the homeless all the time. That is not the function of a police department.
Thank you. Thank you. So is Mr. Hurd here? Then let's have Mr. Walsh. Let's Mr. Walsh.
Their cards were turned in late.
Whoa. Wait a minute. What is his name? Your name is not, no. Look, when we begin, be quiet. When we begin public comment, if your card is not submitted, you're not going to be called. Mr. Walsh, followed by Beavis something or other. I cannot make out the last name. But Mr. Walsh, the floor is yours, sir.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org. We want to point out the vile instance of racism that occurred in Studio City the other day. I want every black person, well, I don't have to tell black people, you know it, but I want you to know the white people know that you, black people, are not welcome in Studio City. If you show up here, we'll put you in handcuffs. We'll lie about you, especially black women. And if what I'm saying isn't true, let the 3 black Uncle Toms up here say it isn't true. Everybody knows this is a racist city. And because I'm white, I can get away with saying this. If I were black, they'd kill me and they'd kill my family for saying what that. I have white skin privilege to talk about racism, and there is no bigger racist than Charlie Beck. So what happened there? Someone with X-ray eyes saw through the Mercedes-Benz roof that a black woman and a man and a white man were showing affection towards one another. We don't know whether that happened, because whoever made that accusation has not come forward. What happens? A sergeant shows up immediately and puts a black woman in handcuffs. Not your mother, Mr. Parks. Not your mother, Mr. Price, you toadies. I'm telling you. And what happened? She was treated, she was violated, she was cursed at. This is a black woman. And remember, nobody gives a damn here, because this city is run by liberal whites and Mexicans, and blacks, you are not invited into the valley. And the next time you show up, we will do the same thing to you through the police.
Thank you. Your time has expired. Do we have a Beavis here? Now, didn't he already speak, Madam Clerk? No or yes? Then you can't speak again. No, I mean, there are rules, and you got to adhere to them. No. All right, so what is before? That's the last general public comment card. Madam Clerk, what's before this council?
Council has motions for posting and referral.
They are posted and referred. Announcements, members? No announcements. If Mr. Buscaino.
Mayor Dennis Gleason, colleagues, had an incredible wedding over the weekend. He married his spouse, Commissioner Jeremy Irvine, over the weekend. Had an amazing community of love, of friends, of family. So congratulations to Dennis Gleason. Let's give him a round of applause on his incredible wedding over the weekend. Congrats. I love you.
Announcements, Mr. Parks.
Thank you very much. I'd just like to reemphasize the announcement we made last Friday to the public that from September 26th to October 2nd, the active recycling at 2000 West Slauson will allow members of the community to bring in loads of the trash, 1 per vehicle for the duration of the 7 days from 6 a.m. to 5:45, and this is for free. You can bring in your mattresses, your sofas, old furniture. What they will not accept is liquid, hazardous materials, or food waste. Asked everybody to gear up for that, because it gives an ability for what he calls a cleanup of LA campaign, and he's making his LA facility available for that use. Thank you.
Mr. O'Farrell.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just want to reiterate, we are on day 6 of a heat wave in Los Angeles, and just to let folks know that libraries and recreation and parks facilities have extended hours, and they can act as cooling centers in our neighborhoods. And furthermore, you can log on to emergency.lacity.org for a list of other cooling centers in the county. And so we need to keep making precautions, and we pray that the weather will begin cooling off, and it's supposed to start cooling off beginning tomorrow. So be careful out there.
Thank you. Okay, let's all rise for adjourning motions. I'm going to look to my left side, which is Mr. Fuentes' side. I do not see any. Now I'll look to my right, which is Mr. Koretz's side. I don't see any. Okay, this meeting is adjourned.